afternoon. Welcome. You join me to stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. First thing on the agenda is the approval of payroll for June 15th, 2015.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Claims June 4th and June 11th, 2015.
I'll make the motion to approve claims from June 4th and June 11th, 2015.
I'll second that.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And an ordinance creating a fund for deposit of the animal control fees from cities and towns. This is the second reading.
Should we wait until we meet everyone?
This just creates a fund to put the money into. But it's, yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance creating a fund for deposit of animal control fees.
Second reading.
Motion is second on second reading. What's the number, Michelle? Motion is second to approve ordinance number 15-08 on second reading. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Bid recommendations for HVAC equipment replacement project 2015 for the courthouse, the administration building, the jail, and Mike, jail, PLC. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. You should have received in your packet a recommendation letter reviewing the three bids received for this project. There were three bidders received. There was a base bid which specified a basis of design of the equipment that's currently in use at two sites. All three buildings have sister units that were replaced 2 years ago. The base bid was the base design that provided for that same exact equipment to be put in. The base bid was for just the rooftop units at the courthouse and the administration building. Then the base bid alternate number one was to do the chiller. If you had the funds, you could also do the chiller at the jail. And alternates 2 and 3. 2 provided for a list of 4 other manufacturers that could be used in lieu of the one specified for the rooftop units at the administration building and the courthouse. And alternate number 3 provided for 4 other manufacturers to be used for the chiller at the jail. When you look at the bids, there was some, depending on which way you went, there was some back and forth. The numbers were fairly close. It was our recommendation to stay with the equipment you currently have. Certainly your decision if you want to exercise your alternates. But that was our recommendation. Answering questions that was a little confusing, but we have the answer.
And Mike, I think the recommendation for using the same equipment had to do with filters, spare parts,
Maybe.
all these other things, which probably save us money down the road, I'm sure.
And the difference in the bids, the recommendation we'd make if you went with the base bids and the equipment you have is $491,000 submitted by Mechanical Concepts, Inc.
With the chiller, I'm sorry.
With the chiller. And the difference between them and the other bidder on the base bid in that month was $8,000. And then if you exercise alternate 1 and 2, it became $11,000. For Mechanical Concepts, that would put Stevens Engineers lower by $11,000 if you went with all alternate equipment.
Well, I think they agree with Jeff. That's the reason that we wanted to go with the same thing. The recommendation is for Mechanical Concepts.
Mechanical Concepts for a total of $491,000, includes a $10,000.
the chiller, right now, the system at the jail with the chiller, those are alternating chillers? They're supposed to alternate chillers?
They're supposed to share the load, yes.
And they're not right now, we're solo right now, right?
No, but you're limiting them.
Right, we're looking, okay. And if that were to go down,
That would really tax the unit, it'd probably be, pretty low.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the work for the jail and the county courthouse and the county building here from Mechanical Concepts for $491,000.
Motion and second to accept the recommendation of staff. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you, the funded contract.
Thank you.
I have a side note. We met in executive session before this meeting today, and in that session, we agreed upon a lease for the drug unit, and I entertain a motion to pass that lease at this point.
So moved.
Motion is second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Mike Anton, Anton Insurance Board Regional Hospital Letter of Agreement and the summary plan document.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for allowing us to come before you. We have a couple items that we're going to seek your approval on and one report.
Sure.
Previously submitted for your approval and subsequent approval is a letter of agreement with Porter Regional Hospital, which is consistent with the terms of partnership with the hospital, creating a custom network much the same as was presented 2 weeks ago at Franciscan Alliance. So, I'm certainly entertaining any questions you may have on that as presented.
Question? Is there a motion to accept the letter of agreement?
Mike, are these negotiations with Porter going to be ongoing, you think, or is this pretty much locked just in at that 240 rate?
No, I think we're fluid to that extent. And, as the process develops and data is acquired, certainly.
Okay. I'll make a motion.
Motion, is there a second? Motion is second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Also, Commissioners previously presented to you with the new plan document, with all the changes and amendments that were included in that. You have received a summary of those changes. We ask that you consider approving that, at which point we will distribute to the county employees, and I would welcome any questions, or clarification on those changes if you are interested.
Questions?
I reviewed it, I thought it was pretty comprehensive, looks like a good plan to move forward with. A lot of the details were presented that I know I had questions about, so it looked good from my perspective, so.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion is second. Looks to me like there's about 36 or 37 different changes to make to these documents. And they all look like they're welcome. Motion is second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
And thank you for giving us your early.
Yes.
We're working
A lot of reading, a lot of reading.
Much appreciated.
Commissioners, with us is Troy Scott, and he's going to give a report, if you don't mind, on the Magellan transition.
Thank you. The Magellan transition, anytime you make a transition for the signature, there's expected issues that are going to arise. There's certain controls that are in place now, that weren't in place before. There's plan design that's different, and it's going to have an impact on employees' ability to get their restrictions. Generally, the way we handle this is we let possibly a couple weeks go by, we handle where these issues lie. There are protocols in place, we
between the town of Chesterton and Fort William. Chuck Whitman, town of Chesterton, town clerk.
Thank you. Good afternoon. 3 years ago, this group had the foresight to invest in the future by oversizing a large sewer project the town of Chesterton was doing to accommodate about 200,000 gallons per day of unincorporated land, primarily south of the toll road at the Chesterton boundaries and east of 49, down to around 6 or so. There was a concern was brought to me about whether the county would actually give what they paid for. And I looked into it and I said, you know what, the agreement does not guarantee that capacity. So what I did was I prepared an amendment. The agreement now guarantees a capacity that sets forth the area, which you have in maps attached to the agreement that I brought over. Bob Thompson has looked at them, and I saw a note from him, and I believe that he stated clearly that the recapture area is correct, the area for which the county should grow, and that the 200,400 gallon per day number is correct. So what I have done is, in the agreement, I've delineated the recapture area, because what we're gonna do is people hook in, recapture the funds, it's like a sewer district on behalf of the county. Bob also pointed out that the numbers weren't working that I put in the agreement for money, and I looked into that and somewhat variously saw that the county had paid a little over $14,000 more than it actually cost. So I brought in the spreadsheets last week that actually Mike Jago prepared for me to show what was spent. And so the agreement sets forth the guarantee of 200,400 gallons per day, recapture area, and requires Chesterton to pay you $14,086.50 within 14 days. And I've been working with Betty for about 4 weeks now. So I would ask if you would kindly consider the amendment.
Any questions?
No, I'll make a motion to accept the amendment to the sanitary sewer infrastructure agreement between Chesterton and Porter County.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to approve the amendment. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you very much for your time.
Check, anything else?
I'm just on the claim, so ready for Monday night. I'm making sure of that.
Okay, officers and department heads, we've scratched a couple of things here. Vicki Urbanik, auditor, continuing disclosure services from HJ Humbaugh and Associates.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Madam Auditor, how are you?
Very good, actually. You have an engagement letter before you, prepared by Humbaugh and Associates. This is financial advisors for your jail building bonds. And apparently, well, this deals with disclosure documents that are required by the SEC for purposes of disclosure of financial information necessary to get to bond holders. Apparently, in the past, the county has not had an engagement letter every year when this work was done, and this is an ongoing annual report that Humbaugh must prepare for the jail bonds. So this year, they presented a new engagement letter, just sort of, it's a recap, I guess, of the original engagement letter. So I basically I asked Humbaugh, who deals with this? Is this the auditor's office or is this the commissioner by virtue of the jail bond? And I was told that basically they have just always dealt with the auditor's office.
And this is only the jail bond, right?
Yes, yes. No, no.
Questions? Is there a motion to approve the, Betty, have you?
Yes.
I'll make a motion. Motion to approve the continuing disclosure services with HJ Humbaugh and Associates. Is there a second? Motion is second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.
And I just want to let you know that the animal control fund that you just established, it's already been established. The fund number is 4009, and it's going to be identified clearly to label it as animal fees, comma, or hyphen sheriff. So we we know what this fund is for, and it's just to collect the animal control fees for the sheriff. We'll deposit the other half of the fees in the animal shelter fund.
Great, thanks, Steve. Captain Gonzalez is gonna come back next time. Moving on, for the sheriff. Frontier Services Agreement, Comcast Cable Communication and Service Agreement. You okay with sharing on all this?
Yeah, but she understands. Yeah, she understands. I mean, we have to have the RI come in.
So, we're talking about a Frontier Service Agreement and the Comcast, Communication Management Service Agreement. Are these all for same property?
No, the Comcast is for the garage, and the phone system is for us.
Questions? Are these termed agreements, just 1 year, 2 year?
The Comcast is just an agreement.
Okay.
We can cancel any time of that. We are saving $4,000 by them to for free, putting a line in, so, we'll cost them that, yeah. The Frontier, I believe it might be a 2-year contract. It's basically, for long distance, you've got a great price on it.
Okay. Any other questions? Any motion?
Can we do them both together?
Yes, let's do them both together.
I'll make the motion to approve the Frontier Services Agreement and the Comcast Cable Communication Management Service Agreement for the sheriff.
Second. Motion is second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you, Childress, maintenance supervisor. Paint and carpet close to 309. And the building. Okay. We're gonna do them all, huh? Hey, how many, bids did you?
I have to.
You have 2?
Yes.
What's your recommendation?
My recommendation would be fashion flooring for the carpet and the painting that
Say it again.
for painting.
Questions? Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion, for a second?
I'll second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries. Thank you. Correspondence, we have on file the treasurer's monthly report for May 2015. We have a request for approval by Chris Pizzell of Morgan Township Volunteer Fire Service to use the county roads to detour traffic from State Road 49 between County Road 300 South and 400 South for the 17th annual Malden Labor Day Parade to be held Monday, September 7th, 2015 at noon. Anybody hear on that?
I'll make a motion.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, say by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Where's Vicki? I'm gonna put her in charge of that since we're by her house. Contract with South Point Partners. Yeah, we have already done that. Request for transfer of funds. This is from the Commissioner's Budget Fund, $1,000.1030, $1,600 from account 2350, building maintenance to account 2220, uniforms and clothing. This uniforms for the maintenance department, additional appropriation denied by the county council. You can do it anyways. Is there a motion? Because it was an addition.
You have mine in the building?
Yes. Motion, second.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor, say by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Request for additional appropriation, Commissioner Fund 1112.2030, $176,000 to account 1241 longevity, first payout of longevity. They had no question about this. They shoved it right to us right away. No problem. Is there a motion?
And that's, Cedar, right?
Yep, it's unallocated, by the way. No, we don't.
I'll make the motion.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor, say by saying aye. Aye, opposed, same sign.
request for additional appropriation commissioners, Fund 1112.2030, $19,712 to account 1230 first payout on longevity. They all have ramifications.
So moved.
Motion, second, and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And request for additional appropriation commissioners, Fund 1112.2030, $13,464 to account 1210 FICA, first payout of longevity.
So moved.
Motion, second, and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Anyone on this body have anything? Anyone? Does anyone want to address this body? Anyone wishing to address this body? If you come forward, state your name and address. There's a microphone up there, whether or not it works, we're not sure. That's fine too.
Yeah, you can go there and do that.
My name's Rod Stewart, I live in Council, 99 South, I'm northeast of Western, good, locally, out of drainage issues I have out there. I spoke with Kent Wright, he came in the office yesterday, walked the area, he said he was speaking with you. I want to know where we're at with this, if we're getting anywhere. It's been ongoing.
Sure. I think everyone here is for this particular opportunity. There's another.
I don't know if there's another area.
Yeah, there's, okay.
This is down for County Road 500 and County Road 900. I toured the area this weekend.
Were you out there?
I was out there with Dave Burris, I was out there with Harvey Nix, I was out there with Russ Pomeroy from our drainage board. I mean, we had 8 inches of rain down there in 4 hours.
Oh, yeah.
And we not only saw the area that affected you, but we also saw close to 1,000 acres underwater down there. There's a lot of farmers down there that I talked to that stated that have been down there all their life, and they've never seen a rain like this before. And so I think first, and I'm not making excuses, I'm just setting the stage here to let you know that we had a very unnatural event that happened down there, that hasn't happened in a long time. Based off of our meetings out there and walking it, we've, through the drainage board, Dave Burris, myself, Russ Pomeroy, we're looking at a solution right now that we're working through different easements and different people that we have to contact, maybe taking one of the ditches down there, cleaning it out, widening it up to get that water further downflow on your road down there. When we were out there, we didn't see any obstructions. I had a myriad of phone calls from my office saying that there's people down there that are plugging things. I mean, if it's in our drain and it's in our jurisdiction, we didn't see anything like that in our area. Now, what happens on private ground, I can't be responsible for neighbors or what's going on down there. That really doesn't fall out of our jurisdiction. We fall under the roadways, the drainage ditches, and that's what we're trying to do. We also have, just so you know, we also have a lot of problems, and I got pictures here on my phone of where we're having a ton of corn stalks, when these floods came in, that infiltrated our drainage ditches and plugged them. And I got one here that will just blow your mind of how, so we have farmers down there, and you're living in a very rural area that are no-tilling, and this, you know, when you no-till like that and you get the type of floods that you have, what happens is other things start getting picked up in the water and it's carried, and they always go to the point where there's positive suction, and that's our drainage. And so we've been down there cleaning things. It was really bad, but we are working on a solution for you. That was the purpose for me going down there, and we feel that what we're going to do is going to eliminate a lot of that problem down there. But again, it's very low ground. It's we had a very unnormal circumstance down there, and you know, we're on it. We're trying to come up with a solution that will work. You know, we represent the county drainage board, which I sit on, and that's why I'm speaking. I'm speaking as a county drainage board member. You know, we have a lot of drainage issues in this county that we need to really seriously sit down and take a look at. And unfortunately, the funds that are available for us to do this are limited. And so what we're trying to do Mensch, we feel, looking at it from down there with all of our minds together, that we can alleviate this.
There is a particular area in question, at the old railroad track. There's a section of culvert that was installed by the county. I feel needs to be looked at.
That piece that you're talking about is not connected to our system. When that was, that's where all this misinformation is coming about here.
Are we talking about the same one?
Are we talking about the one where the railroad right-of-way comes in and it's supposed to, that pipe, that was cut off when we did all of our remediation work back years ago. So it really doesn't feed in.
Yeah, that one, but the system that was installed next to that, continue on past.
That's on private property and that's on a private
It starts on
railroad.
the county ditch.
No, it's 4 feet from the county ditch. It is not on the county's right-of-way property.
It's not.
It is not. That's a private drain. And that's what I was trying to say early on, is that when this stuff gets out of our jurisdiction and it gets out of our,
The county installed that.
we did not install that pipe, sir.
I was told,
You were told.
I heard, selling it from the county, he installed that.
Well, from what well, we can get with you and we can talk about this, but I do not feel that drain, we do not feel that drain is contributing, whether it's connected or not, is not contributing to the problem down there. And that's the 9 phone calls I got in a 4-hour period from another neighbor of yours that was throwing around allegations down there about other neighbors and other things. I just will not lower myself to get into those kind of disagreements down there because it doesn't fall within our jurisdiction.
I'm past those disagreements. I don't want to either. I really don't. I just want the problem solved.
And we feel we have a solution. Is it a perfect solution? I think when you're that low, below grade down there, and you get 8 inches in 4 hours, I mean, and then on top of it, you have no-till fields that are eroding into our drainage ditches, clogging our pipes. I mean, this is, I think everybody down there to a certain extent has a responsibility. And you know, we talked at length about it in the truck when we were driving around. I mean, do we go to the extent where we tell farmers that they can't do no-till ground or that? I'm not gonna sit here and start telling people how they need to run their lives on their own personal property. It's not out of our jurisdiction. But the reality of is no-till farming in that area is causing problems down there, especially when we get heavy rains. And I got pictures all over this county where corn stalks are just going right into these ditches, and they're blocking it up. And when you're already in a drainage system that is at best just trying to maintain getting rid of water at a slow rate, and then you put something like that on top of it, it's just a recipe for backing up and flooding. And it's, you know, but I think we come up, we're talking about a mile stretch of digging out some ditches, enlarging them, we're trying to create any restriction, we're trying to get rid of any restrictions that are trying to get that water down south of you, down that road, as quick as we can. Because we feel once we get past down the Reeves Ditch, we think if we get that water there, then it will get out quicker.
I agree.
So that's what we're doing.
My area is flat. I'll take care of that problem.
Yeah.
I've got a solution to that, but if I have nowhere for that water to go, I'm just putting my water in the back of it, it's not gonna leak. If I fix my area of the 7 houses to the south of me, I think it will help them also. But I need your help, so I can get that water moving.
We hear
There's
your,
such a culvert there that we just spoke about. It's questionable.
in your mind, it's questionable.
I
have a lot of
I'm going
people.
with what the county told me and Russ Holman. They told me they installed that.
Well, the person that you're talking to represents the highway department. I'm dealing with the drainage board. The highways right-of-ways are much different than the drainage board right-of-ways. So that's where maybe we're missing
Yeah,
the connect.
I understand
Again,
how
I'm
you make
speaking
that,
from the
but-
drainage board, and that's sort of where Kevin, did you wanna, step up and add to this discussion at all?
Mr. Good, as we speak, I have a draftsman working on the plan to try to get it up for the next drainage board meeting for bids. So we have to have it in advance, 5 to 10 days of that meeting for bidding, so things are happening on the route. I think the commissioner's trying, I think the county's trying, so let's just look forward to the future.
Will you make sure you give your information to Dave Bruce, if he doesn't have it already, and he's, our kind of go-to guy and the guy to reuse. I can tell you, when I first came on this board, drainage problems were well over everybody's head. And there's not been a better thing for Porter County than the drainage board and Dave Bruce's leadership there. It's helped us solve a myriad of problems that existed. And some, you know, it's not easy to tell somebody that their whole house is flooded, that, you know, your neighbor's causing this, but there are times that occurs, and those things have to be dealt with as well as other instances of not cleaning ditches and stuff. And you've got a lot better system going. Like we try to clean the ditches better, we try to make sure that we check them, and it's just, you know, when you have events like we had in the last couple of weeks, and we keep having them, it becomes very difficult for water to go away.
I've only been in that area for 4 years. This is the third time.
Dave, is there anything that you need to clean up that I said, or was?
Well, I'd like to make a comment, and thank you, John, for the compliment, but I don't know that it's going to be appreciated by a lot of folks. With the rains and the intensity of the rains that we've had in the last 3 weeks, there's no system that we have that's going to be able to handle it, period. We're overloaded, and it would take a king's ransom, millions and millions of dollars to fix this whole county so we didn't have flooding incidences like you're going to hear about today. The intensity, the downpour, the repetition. I've heard from the Chicago meteorological people that the month of May was the wettest May in history in this part of the country, and the month of June is well on track to supersede that. So we're talking about something that is abnormal, but at the same time, the solution to an abnormal situation like this would be prohibitively expensive.
But we are, when we went down there, Rob, we are, like Kevin said, we are fast tracking this. I told the drainage board, surveyor, everybody involved, let's try to put something together here real quick so we can get down there and keep things flowing down there the best way. So we are trying to push this forward as fast as we can. I do. And while we're down there, I'll revisit the whole discussion about the drain that's in question, about you. You know, there was a lot to look at down there that day, but we stood over that area and talked about it at length, and I think that, based on talking with the highway department, the drainage board and everything, that's where we come up with, but we'll certainly talk about it again. Okay? Thank you, Kevin.
I'd like to add, part of our issues this morning, and part of the time I spent this morning is dealing with the Kankakee River. We may be hitting some record highs. To give you an idea of the intensity and the amounts we're dealing with, we're making rapid preparation for Shelby right now. That's probably going to set a record. I think things are looking okay, but they're going to be really high in Porter County at Dunn's and Bounds Bridge. We're looking at the whole system, and we've never seen it before.
Oh, that's great. Unbelievable.
When are they expecting the Kankakee to peak?
Depending where you're at, Shelby will probably peak in the next day or two. However, down at Dunn's Bridge and Bounds Bridge, it'll be over the next 3 or 4 days. Cook Ditch, which is coming out of La Crosse, got hit pretty hard last night. They got 4 or 5 inches, so.
That Cook Ditch is near where you're at down there. We
Yep.
looked at that too. Yeah, I'm sure you are. I just swam along. You know, boy. Thank
So
you.
even though it's not raining, you make it work.
Thank you, Rob. We're gonna try to come up with something here.
Thanks for coming. And there's another issue, I think, in Wheeler, is our smoking like a foot force.
Appreciate you, taking the time. I have some pictures here, of the flooding that we had 3 in South Wheeler to be solved with the replacement of 2 culverts. We're not asking for millions of dollars worth of improvement. We're simply asking for 2 culverts to be replaced. Mr. Burris has been out there. He has mic'd that ditch along with Mr. Blades. Mr. Blades can't be here today because he's among the group down at Kankakee where his property is washed away. But he would have been here and spoke with you and done a much better job than I can do. But I have pictures showing when the water gets to my house, it cannot get through that culvert. That culvert has collapsed at least 3 times that I know of. And the county comes out and they dump gravel in there and they fill the hole and they blacktop over it. If you get down when there's no water, which is rare, right now water is still halfway up in that ditch. But if you get down and you look, you'll see that there's this much sediment in that culvert. The water simply cannot get through. It backs up and it floods everybody that's here. Gary Thomas, he's got pictures. Gary, you want to show him the pictures of your house? But these are pictures, if I might show you, that Mr. Blades took. And this is on Clark Avenue, and this is where the water comes out. And you can see how much of the culvert is still showing. Very little water coming out. And this is the entrance. And this is on State Street. This is my culvert. And you can see how full it is. The water simply cannot get through these culverts. And in the process, it is doing all this to our homes.
This building here is lining out here 18 inches of water now, year after year, every year now. They're talking about this heavy rain, but it happens year after year after year, but it ain't years don't usually overflow.
We understand the problem, David. You wanna give us a little update on where we're at with solutions or potential?
Maybe a little bit of background. I've been aware of the situation in South Wheeler probably for quite some time now. We have completed a watershed study of the whole Cruel Ditch Basin. I've, on a prior occasion, told Mr. Blades and also Mrs. Taylor that we would be doing that, and we have. The study is completed. It has been, the result of it is that we have a recommendation of 8 different recommendations for improvements. This is from an engineering firm. We are currently looking at those 8 to see what each one of them will do. The study indicates that one improvement will lower the water so far, another one will do this, and so forth. So they each have a different capability. They each have a different cost estimate. And what we're looking for is trying to determine the best combination that will solve the problem at the best cost of the county. Right now, the cost estimate to do what apparently needs to be done is somewhere in excess of $1 million. Now, you understand that the 2 culverts, Anna, that you're talking about seem to be fairly simple solution, and to a degree they are. But this engineering study also indicates that those 2 would give Mr. Blades a very sure solution to his problem, but it would not change yours at all. So we're looking at a solution, a combination that will do the best for the most people. Now, at the same time, I asked you on the phone one time, why in the world you ever bought a house that close to an open ditch? You told me it never used to do that. Well, we studied the whole watershed, and we've seen that there is little or no significant building development upstream from Wheeler. So it's not a case where we're creating more water by building. It's not happening. We're having some abnormal conditions. variance to our easement, and you agreed to that, variance, as did the drainage board, so long as you negotiated a hold harmless agreement. And basically what that said and what you signed is that you agreed that in the event of any flooding, because you were so close to the ditch, that you would not hold the county financially or morally liable for it. Now, personally, I sympathize with everybody that's got a problem with flooding, but there are some levels of responsibility that I think need to be borne by the landowners. And I think in this case, we need to sit down and work together. When we get a combination of solutions that we feel comfortable with, we want to have you and Mr. Blades and everybody that is appropriate involved in it, and we'll see if we can do it. But I cannot sit here in good conscience recommend that the taxpayers of Porter County spend $1 million or $1.5 million for the kind of problem we're seeing right here.
So are you saying that my garage is plugging up the culvert?
No, I'm saying that you agreed that when it did flood, that you would not come to the county. I've got a document that indicates that.
Yes, I remember signing that, because the planning commission is the one that gave me the permit to build the garage there, with the understanding if we flooded.
Well, that rests my case.
Ms. Burke, my flooding, my home goes underwater. I can't have anything on the lower floor. I've lost my furnace, I've lost my washer, dryer, you name it. I have had to replace everything. And I live in constant fear. I can't go away. Every time it rains, I have to worry, am I gonna get flooded? And I'm not the only neighbor that has to live that way. But I don't understand how you can bring up the issue of where my garage is in reference to that culvert. Because you have been out there and you know that that water comes back. It flows back. You yourself said you don't know where it's going, but it's coming back. And it's not coming around behind my garage. There are 2 culverts. And if they would come out there and look when we're flooding, instead of, like today, you come out the next day and you can't tell that there was ever any rain, much less a flood.
Well, I disagree with you there, but, just, when I was out there last week, I went down the Jones Road there, and that culvert that was there, which is a release structure for all of your water that goes down the road over to the landfill and all that, that culvert was totally plugged with all kinds of debris that somehow got in that ditch. So I don't know how that culvert got plugged, but that culvert is plugged. And as soon as we saw it, we called, we had someone come out, clean the culvert. I think that obstruction was part of the problem that happened there too. But, and we're also looking now at coming up with a solution. We've contacted the waste management people to get in by the ditch down there and try to see if we can clean all that stuff downstream of you to see if we can get this opened up a little bit more. But we're talking to engineers here that have analyzed all this, and to go out and spend $1.3 million to fix the problem out there, that's not even gonna ensure that if you have another 100-year rain, that it won't flood again. So what we're looking for is another solution, and I think really what's gonna end up happening to fix this issue down there is we're gonna have to buy some ground somewhere down there to put in a pond or retention pond to hold this water. It's engineering, and either way, what we decide to do, it's gonna be something that's gonna be extremely costly, and it's something that we're working through right now. I've been on the drainage board for 6 months, so this whole area for me has come pretty new, and I'm trying to learn as quick as I can. But the fact of the matter is, we do have a document here from you that, when we're down there doing these type of things, that there is indemnification of the county here with regards to your particular situation here. And I don't know what more we can do.
Replace the culvert.
I'm telling you, from argue engineering with you. We, as a drainage board, have engaged people to look at this. I'm on top of it. We're trying to work through, we're trying to come up with something that will resolve that area, but once again, we've also had the surveyor contacting the railroad. The railroad needs to clean their ditches up a little bit more. If anybody has any insight to getting the railroads moved, please let me know, because they ignore governments too. But, you know, we're trying to figure this out on all points here, but
Mr. Cliff, you do not need to be an engineer to sit on my street and see that the water cannot get from one side of my culvert to the other. Those pictures show that. And then when it goes down and around the corner past Mr. Blade's house, again, I showed you on the picture, he has taken pictures. There's this much of the culvert exposed. It cannot get through these two culverts.
But there's pictures of the culverts by her house and my house that are maxed out. No more water.
we totally understand
Agreed.
that.
But then when you go down around the corner, there's this much culvert showing on one side, the other side of the road, there's all the it won't get, I mean, I'm not an engineer, I'm old hillbilly boy. But you don't have to be an engineer to see that if it can't get through here, and, I mean, I realize it's gonna take a lot of money to fix it properly. Can we Band-Aid it for now?
Can't we at least get the culvert
Mr.
open?
Burris, I didn't build my property or my garage on the ditch, okay? I'm 100 yards from it. So that, you can't use that one on me. Could I show you these pictures?
I've seen similar, I don't know about.
Well, here, the thing is, the ditch comes up. It'll go 10 inches in my garage. It'll quit raining. 1 hour later, it's back to the ditch. So what you see is not the real deal. Here's the real deal.
Okay, I think we're not gonna accomplish much more here, but I want to say that all your complaints are not falling on deaf ears. Our drainage board is working overtime trying to clear up all these problems, and they will continue to do that. They've got a commitment to Porter County that, and if you look at the work they've done since they've begun these projects, you'll have to agree. But they've got an engineering study going, they're gonna get the results of that, they'll follow up on it, and they'll get you some kind of relief, I can guarantee you, but it might not be overnight, it's gonna take a little bit of time.
One question.
Sure.
Are they part of the $1 million solution, the two culverts that should?
Oh, yeah, it's that, yep, that is correct.
So maybe,
Why can't we have the culverts first and then go on downstream? At least if
I'm not an engineer either, I don't know if that makes sense.
None of us are engineers, and we typically don't understand why a lot of engineering has to be done in the manner it does, but believe me, they do, and they know why. If you do something out of the order, it becomes more of a problem than it is a solver. We want to solve your problem, we want to help, but we have to rely on the experts.
Well, one of the engineers that was at my house last year, told me that I don't get any runoff in this little ditch of mine from the farm. You could go right behind my house at the same time. I took 2 neighbors back there, and there were 3 feet of corn stalks that the fence is there to keep them from coming in the house. And he wouldn't even go look at it. He said that the cornfield runoff had nothing to do with our ditch.
But yet they're corn stalks.
That took us a week to dispose of.
Well, it's always best if we have a blueprint, and that's what the engineering study is gonna give us, is a blueprint to work from. And I can tell you the county can't devote $1.2 million to your project, but we will do everything humanly possible to correct it.
All we're asking for is 2 culverts on 2 streets. That's all we're asking for. The whole community, that's all we're asking for, is 2 culverts to let that water get past our house.
All we're asking for is that we paid for a study to tell us how to do this, and all we're asking is that you let us put that study in place and implement it in the manner it's supposed to be implemented. That's all we can do. I mean, it would be foolhardy to
pay for a study, an engineering study, which is not inexpensive in and of itself, and then take the study and say, no, we know better, we're just gonna replace these culverts, which you would be foolish to do that. We need to follow the directions and follow the order in which the engineering firm says to do these things. They're on it, and we got the county surveyor and the head of the drainage board on it, and they're, you just gotta keep our fingers crossed on rain again.